Hey YouTube, this is TMS Poop Deck, and I thought I'd do something different for a change. Instead of showing stuff that is really cool about Minecraft, I thought I'd go back to the basics and make some tutorials for new players or just old players who want to really get down the basics. So first of all, I'm just going to start out with what you need to know about the interface here. So you have the single player button, the multiplayer button, the texture packs button, options, and quit game. Oh, and then there's also this little icon here that lets you change your language. So if I want to change to Canadian English, well, that doesn't really show you anything, but I can change to Pirate Speak, and then you can see everything's now in Pirate Speak. Now there are obviously legitimate uses for this, but I don't speak all these languages, and I imagine that if I chose one language, the majority of you would probably not know it. So I'm just going to stick with English because it's simple. Alright, so first of all, starting out with single player, you go in there and it gives you this. Now if you are just starting out, you have no worlds here, but you can create a world or cancel to go back. So I'm going to create a world, and there's some buttons here we'll get to in a second. I'm just going to call it test. Whoops, looks like caps lock is on. Test 1. Okay, so here there's the game mode toggle. You can go between survival, hardcore, and creative. I'm going to show you survival in this series, but hardcore is really similar, and creative is pretty much what Minecraft Classic was. You just get unlimited everything, and you can fly. So survival is standard, and then if you hit more world options, you can enter a seed, which I'll get to in a second. You can turn on and off villages, dungeons, ravines, all those things, and you can make the world either default or super flat. So a default world is just regular Minecraft, whereas the super flat world is just an enormous plain. So I'm going to go to default because I want to show you the actual game here. Seed for the world generator. If you don't enter something here, a seed is generated randomly, but the seed is what Minecraft uses to generate the level. So I actually don't use these in more recent builds since they changed the world generator, and it pretty much, there were a lot of seeds that you could use to get really cool terrain. But the world generator has been modified so that pretty much all the time you get that terrain. You don't even have to use a special seed. It's just really nice now. So since I don't really know any good seeds and you don't really need one, I'm just going to go done, and we get back here. Not anything to do other than cancel or create new world. So I will create the world. I'll generate the level here, and I'm actually not going to show you the game just yet. So once this pulls up, I'm just going to quit to title. Multiplayer, I'm not going to join a server, but Direct Connect lets you just enter the URL or IP address. So see, I was running a server at the IP 192.168.1.6, and the default port, which is delimited by a colon, is 25565. You don't need to enter that. But if it was 25574, say, you would have to. Now that's all well and good, but if you want to play on a server multiple times, you can hit add server. Let's just say test server. And let's say it was again 192.168.1.6, and it was 25574. So now you have this test server, and it'll tell you whether or not it's up. Since this is an actual server, it's not. But then you have your IP there, and you can refresh to check them all again. Click one and delete it or edit it. Or you can hit join server to join it, but this can't connect since it's not actually a server. Alright, moving on to texture packs. I don't actually have any right now, but in general this just makes blocks look different. I'll probably cover this and mods in a different video. But for now, I will go into options and show you some options. So music, as you may have guessed, turns up and down the sound level of music. Sound does it globally for every sound in the game. You can invert your mouse. I haven't really used that. Field of view is kind of interesting. Higher field of view makes you able to see more, but it also kind of distorts it. So I don't generally use that. And sensitivity is pretty obvious. It just changes the mouse sensitivity. Now difficulty is something that we're going to be using in here, just because as you start, you probably want to start on either peaceful or easy, so you don't just get killed the first night. So you can click, actually all the toggle things in Minecraft work like this. You just click it and it scrolls through the different options. So I'm going to go to peaceful. Alright, so video settings. This is generally going to be something you only change if you have a really, really good computer or a really, really bad computer. Advanced OpenGL I can probably turn on. Performance, you can try to save power if you're on a laptop, or try to get more frames per second if you're on a desktop that's kind of underpowered. I'm going to leave that unbalanced. You can use 3D if you want to, which is kind of cool. Brightness. This is something you may use, actually, and so is render distance. So brightness, Moody is actually the original brightness. It's just kind of normal lit, but you can turn it all the way up to bright, and you can see those percentages in between there. But when you're on bright, everything's a lot brighter and easier to see. So fast graphics don't look quite as good. Fancy graphics look significantly better. Render distance, say I want to render really, really close to me because my computer's horrible. You can do that. You can go a little bit further out, or you can go to far. Alright, controls, pretty self-explanatory. You want to have button 1 on the mouse be attack, forward W, S back, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, not really much to cover there. Language we looked at before on the other button. There's another button to access it there. Alright, so that pretty much covers the interface. In my next video, I will actually show you starting up, playing the game, and just some basics. Alright, so please continue watching, rate, comment, subscribe, all those things.